If you're looking for ideas to fill your art journal with stunning creations, then this series is definitely for you. Hi, I'm Ashley Casper from theashleycasper.com. I'm a creative soul deeply passionate about art and leveraging the power of online business to achieve both time and financial freedom. In this series, I'll take you through my personal journey of filling up my art journal using affordable supplies like dollar store watercolors and other treasures that I find lying around my art studio. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just starting out, there's something here for you. So grab your journal and let's get creative together. In today's episode, we are doing a combination of watercolor and drawing and a few different techniques. So I'm starting out here by adding a lot of water to the page because I want the colors to run and to bleed, and I want them to be kind of faded in some areas and cloudy. So that's really what I'm trying to do. I spent some time wetting a couple of different colors that I wanted to use because I wanted to have the colors ready. Many people will spray their watercolors. I just don't have a spray bottle handy. And I also find that I make a big mess with my watercolors when I have more colors that are wet than what is really necessary. So I really just like adding the color or the water to the colors that I'm going to use as I use them. It does slow me down a little bit, I'm sure, but who knows. So this wasn't the best angle, but the water wasn't running. And so I had to use my brush to kind of make it run. This isn't technically watercolor paper in this journal, so that's probably part of my problem, but we're just going to work with what we have. So I did kind of make the water run down, which makes the bleeding effect happen. So I really like the way that the colors started to blend together here. And so I'm just adding a little bit more of that purple to the bleed and having more of the vibrant color run down. And then I take it away to dry it. Here we are all dry, and I am ready to start doodling on the page, and I'm going to just use a Sharpie that I had laying around. And I noticed when I first started this process that the Sharpie wasn't working very well. I don't know if it was the angle of how I was using it, but the lines were kind of thin and not as bold as I was wanting them to be. So you'll see in a moment the lines will get a little more bold. The other thing that I noticed while I was editing this video is that I did not have the best camera angle for you to be able to see what I'm drawing. So I'm going to try to describe it, and I'm sure that I'll be making more of these flowers in the future. But I'm basically pushing this Sharpie down at the tip, the outer tip, and I'm swooping it in towards the center of the flower. I want this to be kind of like a dandelion, you know, the ones that you blow and you make a wish on. So that was kind of the effect of this flower that I wanted, so that was how I did it. So pressing harder on the outside so you kind of get a little dot, and then swooping it quickly towards the center of the flower. And not all of my lines were perfect and towards the center. They got a little wonky and a little, more diagonal than I needed them to be. Don't stress about it. Don't let little mistakes like that ruin your whole page. Just keep working. It will come together. So we're just going to continue drawing. I'm adding leaves. My leaves are not perfect either. There's nothing about my drawings that are perfect. And I encourage you to not stress about the perfection. This is your art journal. This isn't necessarily, trying to make $1 million with your art. This is literally playing, having fun. There is no right or wrong. Here you can see me doing more of the swoopies, and with the flower I also wanted to add that if you start with smaller lines and then go around the circle or around the flower with shorter lines and then go around it again with a little longer lines. I did it about 3 to 4 different times and made each line get a little bit longer. And now I'm going to add a little subtle pink color to my flowers. I know dandelions are not pink, but I wanted mine to be pink. and purple too. So we did a little, the pink and the purple actually look very close, but that's okay. And I decided I wanted to add more florals to this little bouquet. So the first ones that I added was literally a little sprig of tiny leaves. And you can see my leaves get a little crazy. They're not perfect. They're not perfect at all. And then I don't know what these are called. I don't know that there even is a real flower that's like this, but they're like these little stamen. I don't know all the parts of the flower, but I thought they were cute. I've seen them in other art pieces before, and I wanted to try drawing them. And another sprig of the leaves on this side. Now here I'm going to use a stamp. I don't use stamps very often, and I don't have any ink pads. So what you see me applying to this stamp is acrylic paint, and it turned out pretty well. I just did a really thin coat. And so I did a test run. I highly encourage you, if you have never tested something, do a test run on a spare sheet of paper or something before you put it into your art journal. So I was still really taking a chance here because not very comfortable with this at all. You can see I look a little clumsy with it. And stamp it down, press it down really good, and it still didn't turn out quite like my example did. So I tried to do it again. A challenging feat, I believe, for anyone that does stamping. I'm sure others can speak on this as well, but just kind of pressing it down, did another layer and pressing that down to try to get, and it turned out pretty well. I was happy with how it turned out, and I knew that I wanted to add some more detail to the bird anyway, so I let that dry and then added some watercolors. And I love that I used the acrylic instead of a watercolor to do the stamp. That way these colors would not blend and you would still see the detail of that beautiful bird. And I decided I wanted to do some journaling on this page, so I'm just using the Sharpie and adding my little words to the page. Let's add some more color to our flowers. Don't ask me why I go in the order that I do. I just kind of go with the flow. And I encourage you to do the same thing. And when you're coloring in, or at least when I'm coloring in these flowers, you know, I'm not being perfect. I don't care to stay in the lines. I try to. But if I go out of the lines, it's okay. I feel like it just adds a little bit to the page. And I wanted to add... So I actually had a stamp. I did not include this part in the editing, but I had a stamp that said, "Enjoy life." But the words, for whatever reason, were not working out right with the stamp. It just wasn't legible, so I decided to just freehand it, which is quite challenging. So anyone that does freehand, like writing with brushes, I'd love all the tips and tricks. I probably should look that up, but I'm not a great, what do you call it? Letter writer. There's a word for that. Calligraphy. I don't do calligraphy very well. Calligrapher? Would that be a term? Calligrapher. Anywho. So I finish up this lettering and I just add a few final touches to the leaves with a little bit of green and make those pop a little bit more. Thanks so much for joining me on this artistic adventure. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a like and a comment, and also feel free to share your journal entries in the comments. I'd love to see them. Follow me for more content like this, and keep shining and expressing your beautiful creative light. We need so much more of that in the world today. And be sure to visit theashleycasper.com for lots of free and helpful resources for creative entrepreneurs. Have an amazing day.